So Deathmask has been officially ruined. This is Saint Seiya, Soul of Gold, Episode 4, discussion and review. My name, NWR for Life. Uh, so like I said, Deathmask, I don't know what they did to him, like what they were thinking, but they completely changed his character around. But before I get into that, Saga in the beginning of the episode was badass. They were giving him praises about how he's like the strongest gold saint and how he was the man who would become Pope of the Sanctuary. And, Saga pretty much like swatted away the God Warrior's fire, and he used Galaxian Explosion and pretty much overwhelmed, the three of them, the two God Warriors and Kamis, but also killed the unlimited. I don't know how many amount of fodder there was around them. Asgard soldiers or whatever. But the two God Warriors and Camus were fine, and they used their attacks, Aurora Execution and two other attacks, and from the God Warriors, and basically Saga had to use another dimension to escape. And that I found really strange because another dimension was never used for escaping. It was always used to send the enemy into another dimension so that they could never find their way, back to the physical world again, or the dimension that this world is located on. And that's not what they used it for. They used another dimension like a teleporting device, and I thought that was really weird because only Mu with psychokinesis is known for teleportation, so I didn't really like that at all, what they did with Saga is another dimension. Another thing, Saga also looks a little different. Not as drastically as Deathmask looks, but Saga looked pretty different. And then we see Saga and Milo talking about going to Yggdrasil, and Saga is like, you can't go, or rather, he's like, I'm not going to stop you, but we don't have the power to take down the tree or whatever. And Milo is like all fired up, and he's like, what would we revive for if not to, take out the tree? And he sets out to do that. Ioria pretty much is getting ready to go and find Yggdrasil, and Leafia is on a balcony or whatever, looking at the tree, I think, from a distance, and her eyes glow like this kind of glow, kind of purple. She gets like a white lining around her pupil, I believe, or corona, and she, her eyeball, like the the color where the color is, she gets like a white line around it. And anyway, she what's it called? She like is like in this trance for a second, and it's kind of like what we saw, and I don't know if it was the first episode or the second one, but Ioria catches her ribbon thing in the wind and gives it back to her, and she's back to normal. So it seems like she's deeply connected to the tree. I noticed before when Andreas comes at the end of the episode that his eyes looked very similar to what Leafia's eyes looked like. So I think that she might be connected to him. In fact, Andreas may in fact be using Leafia as a vessel. Maybe he has control over her mind and she doesn't even know it. Something to that effect. But then again, he did say he didn't know, that he never saw the Gold Saint God Clawed sensation before. So Leafia did see it in Ioria, so maybe that's wrong. Maybe he's not seeing through her eyes. Maybe she's a servant of the tree. Maybe she's an incarnation of the tree or something. I don't know. It seems like she was a servant of Hilda before she was possessed, if she's possessed, and I think it's probably possession. So her story is really interesting. I'm still interested in that. But now we get to Deathmask. So Deathmask is he's paying money to the girl, the flower girl who has all the little brothers and sisters. She's poor, she's sick, she's coughing. So Deathmask is gambling with cards and paying and taking all the winnings and giving it to this girl. And that's fine and dandy, but I mean, what's bad about this is not who Deathmask is. In the original series, Deathmask killed women and children. Again, I said in last episode, I'll say it again, he carved their faces out and put their faces as masks around his temple. You've got this guy who did all that. All of a sudden now, he's either falling in love with this sick flower girl, or he's, he's got compassion for her. Where does this come from? Like, this is not the Deathmask we knew. Deathmask was a monster. He was underhanded. He used hostages, and he fought for might makes right. This Deathmask is a joke. This Deathmask is a bar bum with barely, he's not clean shaven. His face is totally different from the original, and he just is like a completely different character in this show. He's weak too. That's another thing. This episode said Saga was the strongest and said Deathmask was the weakest. Andreas even said to Deathmask is like, oh, like, you're the weakest of the Gold Saints, and Deathmask is like, yeah, I know. Like, wow. Like, in the original series, every Gold Saint was said to be equal, even though we all speculated that Deathmask was the weakest, because all he ever did was Seki Shiki Meikai Ha. That's all he ever did. But it was never confirmed. It was always said that when any Gold Saint fights each other, there's going to be a battle of 1,000 wars or instant death, because every Gold Saint is equal in strength. And the creator would say that, but we would have Mu do amazing feats, and Shaka do amazing feats, and Saga do amazing feats, and you'd say, oh wow, these guys are definitely above Ioria, and then you see Ioria use his lightning plasma and kill, and you say, wow, Ioria is way above Deathmask and Aphrodite, but like, this show just threw that all out the window. That we had our own sense of who was strong and who was not, but it was always said that Gold Saints were equal. But now they're not. Now Saga is the strongest, according to the show, and Deathmask is the weakest, and that is pretty crazy because they've completely gone against the author's original intention with making all the Gold Saints equal, I believe. And so Deathmask, he did his best to help this girl out, and a God Warrior came and took the girl, and then all 7 God Warriors were assembled in front of Andreas, and there's some kind of plan that that demented, deranged scientist God Warrior is doing, and and that guy took this girl, the flower girl. He took her to experiment on her for like how he's been taking people from the other village or whatever, and Aphrodite did an awesome job in this episode because he actually showed a much stronger presence than he has in the classic series. He appeared, tried to save Deathmask, the flower girl, whatever, and he used his royal demon rose. I don't know how, but he spread it around the room, paralyzed that guy's the God Warrior's senses. And then he used the regular Royal Demon Rose attack, pinned him against the wall, and somehow Aphrodite was able to read the guy's mind, I guess from piercing him with the roses and, I don't know, maybe injecting some kind of nature in him, because they've kind of combined Aphrodite with the the Pisces Gold Saint from I think it's Lost Canvas, the one I forget what his name was now. Albafica, whatever it was. He, I think, had this plant-like thing where like he had kind of like a sense of, or like like a nature kind of thing, like where he kind of in tune with nature. And I think they've taken that and given that to Aphrodite in this show, because Aphrodite never showed anything about nature, anything in the classic series, and here he is like saying he can read things from plants and he can sense energy because of plant. I don't know what he was talking about, but somehow he's able to read the mind of the God Warrior, and magically or conveniently for the God Warrior, as soon as he's been pinned against the wall, I guess there's no more demon rose scent in the air, even though he's being pinned by like 12 of them. He regains all his senses, and he's able to attack Aphrodite. And Aphrodite's got this well in hand. Seems like he's going to finish him. But then Andreas comes out of nowhere, and Andreas has these these plant-like beanstalks or some kind of yeah, I guess like you would think like tree tentacles or something to that nature, and they're attacking en masse, and the whole thing blows up, and Deathmask finds them, and Aphrodite comes out with the girl. The only one he's able to rescue is the girl, and Aphrodite gets attacked from below from this plant or whatever, and then Andreas hovers in the air and pretty much pierces Aphrodite straight through the chest, it looks like, from the back, and then lifts him in the air with the tentacle and just pretty much like completely covers him, and Aphrodite is done. You would think like Aphrodite's dead, he just got impaled, but we see that Aphrodite at the end of the episode, we see that he's in like this some kind of prison, energy kind of prison, cosmos prison, or what it is, and he's like hovering above this wheel with like 12 spots in it, which clearly it looks like Andreas is going to try to collect the gold saints or something and put them in this wheel. And so, Deathmask calls his cancer gold cloth to help him fight. He can't do nothing with Seiya Meikaha. He looks like a joke. And then he gets his god cloth because he's enraged about the girl dying in front of his eyes. And he uses his Cosmos Blast, and he's able to destroy a couple of Andreas's defenses and with the beanstalk thing, the tree tentacle thing. And that's it. And then Andreas just like leaves him alone, goes away, and he's like, yes, I finally seen like what kind of strange power these gold saints have. Like, it's more than I could have hoped for, or something like that. And we see that Aphrodite is like, hovering and imprisoned and everything. And Ioria is still on the move, and Mu, like, I think all the gold saints felt when Aphrodite Cosmos disappeared, making the audience briefly think that he's dead until the end when we see that he's not. But like, yeah, so at the very end we see Mu in the cave with Shaka, and Mu is like, Shaka, you know something about this hidden power inside of us. Tell us about the God Claws. And that's how the episode ends. So I thought it was a good episode. I really enjoyed Saga. His character seemed really true to the original Saga, very, straight, up to the point, serious, powerful, had no hesitation in killing Camus if he thought that Camus was a traitor. And, unleashed his strongest attack. Saga probably knows that Camus isn't, though. I mean, there was a point in the episode where when Aphrodite like said something like, like, oh, so like tell me, like, no, they said, not Aphrodite, they said, I don't remember who, but that the barrier of the tree, of the Yggdrasil tree is draining the gold saints